Nebraska sheriffs, including Douglas and Sarpy counties, signed a letter from Attorney General Mike Hilgers. The letter urges the legislature to vote down pending legislation that they argue would essentially legalize recreational marijuana. They're also concerned with what they call a lack of medical oversight. For months, Hilgers has urged lawmakers to not advance the issue, even though 7 out of every 10 Nebraska voters approve legalizing medical marijuana. The bill advanced out of committee last week. Floor debate has not yet been scheduled. Organizers with Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana are urging state senators to respect the will of the people. Krista Egger says, quote, Attorney General Hilgers' continued legal challenges and now attempts to manipulate the legislature are among the primary reasons why Nebraskans still lack and may continue to be denied legal access to safe, regulated medical cannabis.